Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our very first episode. I'm your host, Jacob Uskalowski. Today we have an expert analysis, a weapons discussion, and some special guests to tackle our question, would we survive? Joining us on the show, I have Greg Marchese, a sociology student here at Rowan University, and Connor Crafton Temple, a disaster preparedness and emergency management major. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here on our show today.
Oh, my pleasure.
You're welcome.
So, if I may ask you guys, to start off the interview, I would want to know if you could choose any person in the world to be on your side during a zombie apocalypse, who would it be?
Oh, I'm gonna have to go with The Rock. Absolutely super intelligent guy, super compassionate, can comfort me when I'm there. Absolutely beast of person. He's gonna get the job done no matter what.
Yeah, I've gotta say I agree, and I could get on their back and just use them as a chariot. So
Using them as a chariot?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So, specifically a WWE professional, The Rock.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
Just the Rock's really smart, I think.
He's really, you think he would protect you guys during any zombies coming after you guys?
yeah.
absolute stud, but also very compassionate and very knowledgeable about situations.
Okay. What are some ways to survive with The Rock?
What are some ways to survive The Rock? I would say get behind him, let him do all the muscle work, and then you coordinate from there.
Yeah, and say we're in a office, get The Rock to move giant desks and all to block a door.
Okay. We will be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Will We Survive. Right now we're going to take a look at some locations on campus and discuss if we could utilize them during the zombie apocalypse. Our first location is the Student Center. Now guys, how would you utilize this location to your advantages, and what are some ways to take advantages of the location? How would you use this?
Well, the Student Center is a multi-floored facility, so I would automatically go to the highest floor possible, get a vantage point of the situation, stockpile food from the cafe, stockpile food from the student cafeteria.
Supplies are very necessary.
Absolutely, yeah. But I would put that at the very top, but also try to plan an exit route from there, because when you get up top, you're kind of trapped up there, so you got to plan accordingly.
Plan accordingly. So coordination is key to surviving the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah,
am
absolutely.
I correct? Okay. Connor, would you like to add on?
Same points, but I would get any sharp objects like knives, forks, just in case if I do have to use some type of force.
You mentioned forks and knives. Where would you get these?
Maybe the kitchen.
In the kitchen? Okay. So the Student Center has a kitchen?
Yeah, or I assume so, because they have to actually prepare all the food.
Oh, okay. I'm going to bring us to our next location. We have the library. Now, gentlemen, same questions as before. How would you utilize this building to your advantages during the zombie apocalypse?
Well,
And what are some disadvantages?
It's pretty big, and that's both good and bad. It's good because we have plenty of places to hide. But
Okay. Going to our third location, we have a special broadcast from our professional. Here's Professor McCann.
I'm Professor Sharon McCann. I am a sociologist in the Department of Sociology and Anthropology at Rowan University.
Okay. Now, how would the zombie apocalypse affect society?
If you've seen the shows The Walking Dead, The Walking Dead actually does a halfway decent job of capturing that society would fall apart pretty quickly. People like to think that they're sane and that they are civilized, but they're really not. And they're kidding themselves, and Americans especially are kidding themselves. They think that they believe in rugged individualism and freedom. And the reality is we all like to be led. We like to be told what to do, and we like the rules to be really clear. American culture focuses on rugged individualism, but everybody needs to be led. And people seek society to be stable. They want society to be stable. So in the show The Walking Dead, what you see is people going back and looking at that symbol. The guy's wearing a uniform, so everybody responds to the symbol of the uniform, and they treat him as if he is a leader, and they gather around him because he is a symbol of society being sane and stable, which is what they really crave. The problem with that is he could have stolen that. He could have picked that up off somebody else's body. You don't actually know whether he's a police officer, and you don't even know if he's a good police officer. But people go to him anyway. And in the show, you see people going to MITE. So there's a lot of people that are holding up groups of society or subgroups of society. They're holding them together by fear and by having weapons, and they can protect people internally from the external threats. So people will put up with being threatened internally by the leader in order to get that external stability. Then you see people going to things like religion, and you'll see trying to find meaning in the things that are happening to them, which gives them a way to organize the way they view the things that they're going through as society falls apart and create new norms for them to guide themselves by. People like to think that they can make new ways of living, but they actually adopt old ways of living with new forms. Some of what will happen is the society will fall apart, and the people at the fringe of society, the people that are marginalized, will come towards the middle because they're the ones who have the least to lose when society collapses. They're also the ones that are most likely willing to adapt really rapidly to the new format in society, the new norms. When they change to those new norms and they adapt to, especially in a zombie apocalypse sort of setting, you have a lot of people that are really violent, and violence helps you survive. So that thing which is not accepted prior to the apocalypse suddenly becomes acceptable during the apocalypse. It's okay now to shoot your neighbor in the head, which is a really strange kind of way of being. But you don't want a society based on the ability to shoot your neighbor in the head. So after time, people will develop new sets of rules about what is and is not allowed. If you really want to look at what happens when a society collapses, look back to societies that have collapsed in the past. Look for societies that have collapsed from natural disasters. Hurricane Katrina, what just recently happened in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, all of those collapses, people get the best and the worst. They'll turn into their best selves where they're helping each other and banding together, and they'll turn into their worst selves where they're stepping over each other in order to survive themselves. Survival is a really strong drive in humans, but so is the pack. Humans are pack animals, and we like to be with our pack. So even if it's more safe for you to stay away from people, think Will Smith in the other zombie movie where he's all by himself in Manhattan. He's miserable, he's unhappy, and he's really lonely, and we're very sad for him in that setting. That would be a problem for people, so they're going to go look for other people. No matter how dangerous the journey to find connection is, people will go and look for other people. Society does reform. At the end of World War II, people were traumatized by the Holocaust mostly because that society looked stable and it looked like it was staying together even while it was engaging in horrific acts. But when we pulled that down, we reformed a new society that was more generous and inclusive. So we can hope that if the zombie apocalypse happens, after the major crisis, people will come up with a new society that is kinder.
Thank you, Professor McCann, and we'll be right back after this message from our sponsor.
I don't know how to walk in the road on a college campus. You have a problem. Do you hear yourself? Anyone can get hit by a car. You're not special. Who's gonna hit us here? Amanda!
And we're back, and for our next segment, I'm going to show you different weapons and tools that can potentially be used during the apocalypse. Tell us how you can use a golf club. How would you use this during the apocalypse?
Well, Jake, I honestly would not want to use a golf club because most of these cheap golf clubs you have here, the head comes off. Okay, so
In other words, the
yeah.
metal isn't strong enough
Not
to
that
actually.
it just there's not a connection between here. You want something solid. You want something that when you make good connection, it's gonna work. You know what I'm saying? This might take one or two out.
It's going to create like great contact.
Yeah, I want something sturdy. I want something reliable.
Reliable. Okay, well, we might have something that might be reliable to you. Next, I present to you guys a medical kit. How would you utilize this, Connor?
Well, like just see it. If we don't have any like bleeding control stuff like chest seals or tourniquets, I don't suggest doing tampons or pads, but just put a pad on a big wound and use tape. This is all pretty standard stuff with Band-Aids and tweezers. These scissors are actually not the best for like what we're going to be doing. You want trauma shears, like what you see on Grey's Anatomy or any medical show, because those can actually cut through clothes much easier than those.
Very good inputs about the medical kit. So now, Greg, we have
There you go. That's perfect.
a hockey stick. Is this sturdy enough?
Of course, that is something that's going to hold up. That is something that is going to be your companion throughout years. Honestly, non-slip handle, got good weight behind it. It'll work.
If I could even interrupt to even ask, is there any like disadvantages using a hockey stick during the zombie apocalypse?
Not a single one I can think
Not
of.
a single one. Connor?
No, it's actually much more thick than iron is. So you are able to take out someone that's been infected, like just giant whack to the head. They'll die or be wounded.
Okay, so wrapping things up, we have another word from our sponsor. Welcome back to Will We Survive? Now, continuing with our questions, gentlemen, if I could continue asking some more questions to you guys, do you mind?
Yeah, of course. I'd
go
be happy to.
Okay. So our first question from before, what's the first thing you do when you realize the apocalypse has started?
I think I'm going to get in my boat and I'm going to go. Because, we all know zombies can't...
Wait, hold up. You
What?
own a boat?
My dad owns a boat, all right? Just make it look good for TV, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, talk me up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to... Maybe you see this coming, you foresee this coming, you put a little investment in, Boats are not a good investment if you're really looking to make a profit, but we're not going to talk about that now.
We're just going to scratch that completely. What would you do?
I would, pack my, giant backpack, and go out to the desert.
Okay, wrapping things up. To close out, what do you guys think? Will we actually survive?
Absolutely. Humans are resilient, they're resourceful, and they get things done when they need to get them done. So we would definitely find a way to figure it out.
Okay, gentlemen, I would like to say thank you very much for being here. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have today. And a special thank you to our guests, Mr. Greg Marchese and Connor Crafton Temple. I'm your host, Jacob Uskalowski, and we'll see you next time on Will We Survive?